Every year, people spend billions of dollars on a cheese they believe is the best in the world. The king of cheese, a legend protected by law, tradition, and centuries of Italian pride. But sitting right beside it, on supermarket shelves, is another cheese that often costs half as much. A cheese many people dismiss without ever truly tasting. A cheese that, in blind tastings, has fooled experts more than once. Today we're answering a question that might upset a lot of Italians. Is Parmigiano Reggiano really worth twice the price of Grana Padano? Or are we paying extra for a name? To understand this rivalry, we need to travel back almost 900 years to the monasteries of northern Italy. The monks of the Po Valley had a problem. Too much milk and no way to preserve it. Their solution was revolutionary. They created large cooked and aged cheeses that could survive months, even years, around Parma and Reggio Emilia. That tradition evolved into what we now know as Parmigiano Reggiano. Across the wider Po Valley, a similar tradition developed into Grana Padano. For centuries, they existed side by side as regional expressions of the same idea. The rivalry we know today didn't really begin until the 20th century. In 1955, Italy granted both cheeses their own protected designations. Parmigiano Reggiano was restricted to a small and highly controlled production area. Grana Padano was allowed across a much larger region. That single decision created two identities, two markets, and one of the biggest debates in the cheese world. At first glance, the cheeses look remarkably similar. Both are hard, aged, golden cheeses made from cow's milk. But the rules behind them tell a different story. Parmigiano Reggiano is produced only in a tightly defined zone around Parma, Reggio Emilia, Modena, and parts of Mantua and Bologna. The cows must be fed primarily fresh grass and hay. Silage is completely forbidden. Every wheel must age for at least 12 months, although the finest examples spend 2, 3, or even 4 years maturing. Grana Padano follows a similar philosophy but allows more flexibility. It is produced across much of the Po Valley and permits silage under controlled conditions. Its minimum aging requirement is only 9 months, though premium versions spend far longer in the cellar. Another important difference is that Grana Padano allows the use of lysozyme, a natural enzyme derived from egg whites, while Parmigiano Reggiano contains only milk, salt, and whey starter. 3 ingredients, 9 centuries of tradition. Now let's forget the labels and talk about flavor, because this is where everything becomes personal. A well-aged Parmigiano Reggiano is one of the most complex foods on earth. The texture is granular and brittle, breaking into beautiful shards. Tiny white crystals sparkle throughout the paste. Those aren't salt crystals. They're tyrosine, naturally occurring amino acids formed during long aging. They're a sign that time has transformed the cheese into something extraordinary. The flavor begins with deep umami. Then come layers of roasted hazelnuts, caramelized butter, dried pineapple, and savory broth-like richness. At 36 months, the intensity becomes almost overwhelming in the best possible way. Every bite seems to reveal something new. Then there's Grana Padano. And here's the truth many people don't expect to hear. Grana Padano is genuinely excellent. Not a substitute, not a budget imitation. A great cheese in its own right. Aged examples develop impressive complexity with a sweeter and gentler profile than Parmigiano. The texture remains crystalline, the flavor rich and balanced, but the overall experience is softer and more approachable. Where Parmigiano Reggiano is a symphony, Grana Padano is a beautifully performed sonata. Parmigiano demands your attention. Grana invites you in. One is layered and dramatic. The other is elegant and restrained. Neither approach is wrong. They're simply different. And in many everyday situations, Grana Padano may actually be the better choice. Think about a delicate pasta dish with herbs and cream. Do you want a cheese that dominates every flavor on the plate? Or one that supports the dish while allowing everything else to shine? This is where Grana Padano excels. It whispers instead of shouting. Perhaps the most surprising part of this story comes from blind tastings. When experienced tasters sample well-aged Parmigiano Reggiano and Grana Padano Riserva without labels, the results are often humbling. Many struggle to consistently identify which is which. That doesn't mean the cheeses are identical. Parmigiano frequently wins when tasters know exactly what they're looking for. But it does reveal something important. The quality gap is often much smaller than the price gap. To be fair, Parmigiano Reggiano pulls ahead as aging increases. At 36 months and beyond, its depth, complexity, and crystalline intensity reach levels Grana Padano simply doesn't match. These are the wheels that justify Parmigiano's legendary reputation. The problem is that most people aren't comparing 36-month Parmigiano to premium Grana Riserva. They're comparing top-tier Parmigiano to entry-level Grana, which isn't a fair contest. So what should you actually buy? My answer is simple. Buy both. Use a well-aged Grana Padano for everyday cooking. It melts beautifully, delivers excellent flavor, and offers tremendous value. For risottos, soups, gratins, and pasta dishes, it's an outstanding choice. But when the cheese itself is the star on a board alongside wine, honey, or fruit, reach for Parmigiano Reggiano. And if possible, choose a wheel aged at least 24 months. That's where the difference becomes unmistakable. That's where Parmigiano earns its crown. And whatever you do, stop buying pre-grated Parmesan in a green tube. We don't talk about that here. The real lesson isn't that one cheese defeats the other. It's that Italian cheese making is so extraordinary that even the so-called underdog in this rivalry is better than most cheeses in the world. Parmigiano Reggiano deserves its reputation. Grana Padano deserves far more respect than it gets. So now it's your turn. Are you Team Parmigiano, the king worth every cent, or Team Grana, the underrated challenger that deserves a place on every table? Let me know in the comments, because in this Italian cheese war, the debate is far from over.